Hey everyone, it is 8 p.m. Nagpur time, I guess India time, it's all the same time zone. Um, had a fantastic day, my second day working at NEERI, the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute. Um, I also went for a run this evening, so have my Gatorade here. So if you see me take a swig of that, that's what's going on. Just trying to rehydrate. Um, I'm gonna try to not get off track too much, but it is very interesting. This is 1 liter, and I've been subtracting the shower out of things probably on 2 of these a day, and then the shower maybe takes like 10 to 20 liters. So that's a huge step down from the average of 300 to 400 liters that Americans use a day. So I'm really living on very little water, so that's kind of a little change of pace. Anyway, so there are 5 things that I wanted to talk about. I had to write them down so I don't get off track and I don't make this video like 45 minutes. But so first of all, we have assignments that we're going to be doing since we will be getting credit for this back in the U.S. at OU. So there's a little assignment I want to go over. I want to talk about my first day at NEERI, and then the meeting and collecting that we did today, so second day at NEERI, and then give you a little tour of my room. It's a total mess right now, but still, some people wanted to see it. So, first of all, the assignment. Let's see. So this says, what were your first impressions of the people in the land of India? So general impressions. Let's see. General impressions were that when you immediately see the Indian people, they almost look kind of like upset or angry just because they're kind of in their own little world, and there might be a lot of people in the United States that walk around and just kind of have this grin as they're walking down the street, but most everyone's just kind of pretty stern and to themselves. But I think that one of the best words that I can come up with for India in general is just bustle. It's just bustling, and everyone always has something that they're going to do, and so everything's pretty fast paced. Everyone's always pretty busy, it seems like. So those were general impressions. Number 2 was walking the streets of Nagpur for the first time. What my impressions of that were. It's very well. Actually, hang on. Let me backtrack. Number 2 is watching the landscape go by from the car, because that's what we did the first day. So that's kind of my best first impression that I can think of. It's very, very surreal, because you see true poverty. It's literally stuff that you see on National Geographic. It's stuff that you see in textbooks. It's stuff that you see on the sad commercials with sappy Sarah McLachlan music going in the background. But you truly just see the homes and just how they're beaten down, and people washing their clothes in the streets and bathing in the streets, and part of you wants to be sad because of the whole Sarah McLachlan sort of commercial, and you just think, well, why can't they be like America? Why can't they be like us? And but at the same time, this is their life, and where you want them to be healthy, you want them to be better, you want them to have a better standard of living, and by no means do I suggest that we just let them live like this. I think that this is how they live their lives, and they're happy, and they make it work. And so it's not, to me, it's not as sad as a lot of people make it out to be. But that's just my personal opinion, kind of how I viewed it. But it's very strange as you're driving along the streets, to see cows, to see cats, to see chickens. We saw some monkeys, dogs everywhere, just all over the streets, and people all over the streets, and motorbikes, tons and tons and tons of motorbikes, bicycles, little cars, some big cars, big trucks. It's just amazing. Like I said earlier, it's just bustling. The city is bustling. So then walking the streets of Nagpur for the first time was yesterday. We walked to NEERI, so nearly as not nearly one of the most busy places in the city um, around where we're staying, but still nonetheless there are some street vendors, um, and it's just one thing that's, I think I mentioned it in my last video, I don't know, but everyone stares, and I've noticed that Amelia, who's one of the girls from OU that's here, um, she has gotten kind of uncomfortable with it, which, that's fine. That's actually completely understandable. I'm probably the weird one for someone enjoying it. You almost feel like some sort of celebrity as you're walking around, and there's people on motorbikes, they're like this driving, and traffic is crazy. I would never want to take my eyes off of, like, what was my immediate surroundings. And they're riding these motorbikes and just turn and watch as they go by and almost turn their head all the way around just to catch a glimpse of you. So it's fun in one aspect, and it's also kind of surreal in the other aspect to think that this might be one of 2-3 times they've ever seen a white person. To us being from America, there's really no culture that we haven't at least seen someone or kind of maybe know about, seen on TV or on the internet or something. So it's kind of interesting to be, kind of cool to be that first or second or third white person that they've ever seen. So you're kind of a spectacle everywhere you go. But anyway, rabbit trail, walking the streets. One of the things I wrote down in my handy dandy notebook was just there's walls and fences around all the property, everyone's property. There's always some sort of wall and fence, no matter how poor or run down there's something. And so there's graffiti everywhere. Aaron, one of the students, a PhD student from Georgia Tech, mentioned that one of the things they did to try to keep people from peeing on the walls was to paint gods on the walls. Didn't stop people. You'll just be walking along the street and there's just some guy peeing on the wall right there on the sidewalk. So that was a little interesting and kind of took me back. But walking past these street vendors, and they're just kind of chilling under their little huts that they have set up with their product. So it's very interesting. It's very stimulating to all the senses. You feel how moist the air is, and today was actually really nice. It didn't rain a drop, which was sweet, but very humid. So to the touch, there's interesting smells everywhere for sure. Let's see, smells, plenty of sights to take in, plenty of sounds to take in. It's quite the experience to walk around. So, and then the last thing that Dr. Chamberlain wanted us to talk about was the way that we were treated by the Indian people at the airport and transit and taxi and everything. The airport, I've found, is a whole different animal than anything else that we experience, because they have a job, and their job is to get people in and out of the airport as fast as possible and try to just make sure things are moving as smoothly as possible. So a lot of times in the airport, we felt rather rushed, and a lot of things weren't labeled well, and their airports do run a little bit differently than ours. So we'd get up, we'd wait in line literally for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and get up to the counter, and they'd say, "Oh, well, you need this. You need to go to this counter and get this." Oh, okay, so we go to that counter, and then we'd have to remove the little barriers that they set up that are kind of like the what's the word, like the belt, the synthetic belt or whatever. So, we'd take those off, and someone would come over, "No, you can't do that." "Well, no, we were just in line. They wanted us to come back and get up to the counter," and, it's such a mess. So I wouldn't really necessarily say that people were rude to us, but we definitely felt rushed at times. We felt very confused. And finally, once everything was in a line and we finished at the check-in counter, they said, "Oh, by the way, your flight is boarding in 10 minutes. So we still had to get through security and find our gate, and it was a mess. So once again, the Indian people are bustling, and I wouldn't say we were dragging our feet. We just had no idea what was going on, and so they seemed a little irritated, but I can completely understand. I'm sympathetic to that. So, but once we did get to our final destination in Nagpur, it was raining like crazy, and we got in a taxi. Really cool older car. Not a taxi, sorry. It was a car from NEERI that picked us up, and the gentleman was very friendly. Spoke just enough English that we could kind of communicate a little bit as we made it over here to Jog House, J-O-G House, Jog. But anyway, he was very friendly, and for the most part, any Indian person that you actually take the time to say something to and interact with, so incredibly friendly. They're going to be very nice to you, and kind of like I said, they're very excited to see an American, to see a white person, and so anyway, that was all I really had for that assignment, it looks like. Let's see, so my first day at NEERI, I was working, we met with Dr. Pawan Labhasatwar, and he's the head of the water division for NEERI. Great guy, lots of fun, very friendly, but we tried to figure out a plan for the month that we'll be here, and we decided that we're going to spend 1 week on 4 different projects. So the 4 weeks that we're here, we'll be with 4 different groups. So this week we'll be with Aaron, who's the PhD student from Georgia Tech, staying right above me. Let's see, without going into too much detail, he's testing intermittent water supplies. Water does not flow through the tap 24/7 like it does in the United States. So here most of the time it's on for an hour. So you'll turn on your tap and fill up, like a big vase or like a vessel underground or something, and that's your continuous water supply throughout the day. But they're in the process of moving to, they say 24/7 or a 24/7 water supply, which is like what we have in the United States. So he's doing testing. He's running water through a kidney dialysis filter and then flushing the filter out and looking at all the microbes that are in that. So most of the time, whenever you look at water samples to determine how many biological agents, I guess, are in it, you use an indicator agent such as E. coli. So that's why you hear a lot about E. coli. And so you kind of say, well, if you have this many E. coli, then you can kind of decide how safe the water is based on the other organisms. So, but he's actually looking at individual bacteria and different organisms. So it's the first time anything has been done like this, as I understand. So some cutting-edge sort of stuff. So this is pretty exciting to get to work with him this week. He'll be leaving for the next 2 weeks, so we wanted to get in our time with him while he was here. So we started looking at that. He initially wanted to take about 6 samples a day for 10 days to get 60 samples. But it ended up that since the water is only available for 1 hour and it takes 40 to 45 minutes to run the water through the dialysis filter, there was going to be no way we were going to be able to do that. So instead, yesterday for Aaron was a pretty rough day. He's put a lot of work into his PhD so far, only to get to this point and realize that pretty much everything that he's done so far needs to be revamped. And he did that all in one evening and overnight and in the morning. And so props to him. That was really cool. And he took it like a champ and really never complained. You could tell he was a little bummed, but so anyway, we decided that what we were going to do is fill up big 5-gallon containers full of the water from the different places he wanted to test, and then bring those back to the lab. Problem with that is that in order for you to properly, for nothing to change, you have to put sodium thiosulfate. I'm probably butchering that. I think it's just thiosulfate, maybe. I don't know. And that basically neutralizes the chlorine, so the chlorine doesn't keep fighting all the different agents in there. And then you have to keep it at 4 degrees Celsius, which is pretty cold. 0 degrees Celsius is freezing. And so that's difficult to do, especially when you have these huge 5-gallon kind of plastic, really thick plastic bags. That's kind of what they are, that we're trying to transport everything in. So I'm sure they're not at 4 degrees C, but we're trying to get them as close as possible. So we put together that plan. The water arrived at 5 o'clock in the area that we were going to sample at. So the morning we got up and just kind of poked around. Aaron did a lot of work on the computer, but Amelia and I just kind of, twiddled our thumbs for a little while, which is fine. That sort of clerical work needs to be done. But and then went and had lunch. Lunch was the best that we've had so far. That we had okra, which I love okra, so that was great. Let's see. And then got everything together, packed up all the stuff, and took off with 2 of the Indian students who were working at NEERI, Amelia, Aaron, and myself, and went to these different locations. Orange City Water Supply, I think, is who runs all this. So we stopped there first, met with some people. I have some pictures I'll upload on Facebook soon of that, of the office that we stopped by. And it was very interesting as we were testing the water there at Orange City Water Supply. We drew quite a big crowd. There were probably about 20 people standing around wanting to see what's the chlorine level, what's the pH, So we're sitting there testing, and there's this huge crowd just watching. It was pretty fun. And then we took off and basically dropped people off, myself and Amelia included, at just these well, not remote, it's within the city, but just dropped us off at these places and waited for the water to come on, filled up our containers, and we just waited for the car to come back around and pick us up. Never felt, by the way, I have transitioned into day 2, if you didn't catch that, but so fill up these containers, wait for the car to come back around, just kind of chill with the people that are there. So as we showed up, we're getting this equipment out of the car and everything, and Aaron's leaving the paper and the jugs with me, and they're packing up and leaving. And I mean, immediately, white people show up to someone's house, and it's just, come use our stuff, and they get everything prepared, and it draws a pretty big crowd pretty fast. Within a minute or less, really. There were probably 10 to 15 people gathered around, figuring out, hey, what are these people doing? So that was kind of funny. It didn't take long at all. And the water was actually on as we arrived there before 5 o'clock. But they went ahead and just left me there and took off, which was fine by me because I filled up the jug, took about 2 minutes, put the cap on, filled up a whirl bag. It's a little bag that you open up and then spin it, and twisty tie it shut. Fill that up, and then set them in the shade, try to keep them as cool as possible. And there was a field that was fenced in right across from where we were, literally right across the dirt road. And there were a bunch of kids. Well, they had all stopped playing to come over to see what was happening. And so I finished and met my friend Nikhil, and we talked for just a second, a minute or two, and then I kind of realized, well, there's not a lot left to say, and everyone was just kind of sitting there staring at me. So I said, can we go play cricket? And, Nikhil translated and said, cricket? Can he come play with you guys? And all their faces lit up, and they were super excited. And so we jumped the fence into the little open area, and they gave me the cricket bat, and Nikhil grabbed the ball, and we started playing cricket for a while, and I got a few hits. I don't know if that's the right word. And then I tried bowling, which is pitching. You do a run up for the bowl, and then you have to throw with a straight arm, so your elbow has to be locked as you throw. So it's a little bit different, but I had seen it done before, so I gave it a shot, and I was not good at that. I was okay at batting, but I was not good at bowling. So I had one good bowl. Even the kids around were like, "Oh, good ball, good ball." They spoke a little bit of English, enough to kind of converse a bit. And then Nikhil asked, "What's your favorite, cricket or football?" I had no other option, or rugby. So I had no other options: cricket, football, rugby, and football, of course, meaning soccer. And so that's my favorite. And so I said, "Yeah, football. I love football." So they went. They said, "Okay, let's play football." And they take the wickets, which is a cricket thing, and they stick them in the ground, and they say, "There are the goals." And we split into two teams and played football for 30 minutes or something. And it's really humid, and pretty hot, and so we were all drenched in sweat, and I was wearing a cotton T-shirt. And speaking of that, this is my night shirt that I wear to sleep, so if you see me wearing the same shirt every night, that's why. But that was a ton of fun. There were some kids, all the way from, maybe first grade, 7, 8 years old, all the way up to around my age, I'd say. And then they taught me a couple other games. Let's see. Where did I write that down? Oh, Gilli Dana was one of the games, and Kabaddi was the other game. So Gilli Dana is basically like you have two teams, and you each make two lines, and then I think you send one player over, and that player just has to try to tag someone from the other team. I wasn't exactly sure how it works, so I might have to look it up and watch it on YouTube. And then Kabaddi was something, there's kind of like, it looked like a small lemon kind of, that they sit on the ground and then just take a stick and they hit it on the head to pop it up in the air and then try to hit it, and whoever can hit it the furthest wins. So they showed me those games. We didn't really play them, but just kind of explained them to me. So that was cool. Then we took a few pictures. They all really wanted to take pictures with the white guy, with the American, and so I had my OU flag. I'm sure you guys will see this on Facebook, but we took a picture, and I had an OU hat. I brought 4 different OU hats because I have a ton of them, and so I just had one in my bag. It's been pretty overcast the whole time we're here, so I haven't used it, and just left that hat with one of the kids there. I thought they'd really find that kind of cool and special, so that was really cool. Highlight of my day. I really like spending time with kids and playing football, and I've always wanted to try playing cricket, so they were really excited to try that with me. And so anyway, that was a ton of fun. We finished up. Tea and coffee is a big thing, especially for business and just kind of chit chat. And so we went back to the office for Orange City, and Nikhil and one of his friends, I can't remember his name right now, but really chatted up with me for a while, and everyone was kind of poking fun at me that I was the popular one that everyone was wanting to talk to and everything, but kind of more on an emotional side for me, really. It's kind of special is that soccer, and I'm going to say football because it's what the world uses and it's what they use here, but football is the beautiful game, and it connects and it breaks down so many different barriers and so many boundaries that no matter what language you speak, no matter what creed you are, no matter your economic situation, no matter wars, hate, all the differences that you have, and you see it in the World Cup every 4 years that everyone kind of puts down the arms and rallies around football, and it's really beautiful. And so you kind of had that awkward moment where you're just kind of standing around all quiet, like, all right, what are we going to do now? And as soon as you mention sport, and sport in general can do this, but football is international. It crosses so many borders and boundaries, and so that was a really special moment. And after that, everyone kind of saw he's not above us. He's no different than us. He enjoys playing cricket. He enjoys playing football, and really wanted to take pictures and talk and hang out and say some things. And so it was a really special moment and kind of one of the things I was looking forward to. The work that we're doing here is important in helping improve their lives. And, so for the love for just people in general. It's important to do the work, but to me, establishing those relationships and just kind of going out there and saying, I'm no different than you, and just kind of putting yourself on the same literal playing field as everyone else, then it's very special to be able to do that and make those connections with the kids. You connect with the kids, it's a way to connect with the adults, and so it's great. But I really enjoyed that, and I hope that you can see through my excitement for that, how special that was. So one thing I didn't mention, we met with the water supply manager for Nagpur municipality, which was pretty interesting. We've read in our book in preparation to come to India about how government jobs, once you get that job, it can be very difficult to get that person out of their job. So there can be a lot of, I don't want to say complacency, but maybe some corruption, and you kind of do what you want, play by your own rules. But this guy, I wouldn't necessarily say that he plays by his own rules, and I don't want to call him out for anything because I was having a difficult time hearing exactly what was happening. But he had 2 assistants who were bringing him, there at his beck and call and bringing him everything. And but one moment that just kind of struck me, and by no means do I want to say that he's trying to rip off the people of Nagpur, because I'm most definitely sure that he has their best interest in mind. But there was kind of a quote that he had, he was leaning forward, and he said, where is it? A pinch in the pocket can get a lot done. And as he said that, he crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair and kind of grinned, not a smile, but kind of a, sort of grin. And so in my head, I definitely didn't react to it or anything, but I was just kind of like, wow, that was interesting to see that side of it. And as we were standing there, several people came in. He also runs taxes, I believe, for Nagpur, or maybe it's just for the water itself. And so, one person came in, was arguing taxes with him in the middle of our meeting, just kind of barged in, and then another student, a master's student, came in and was asking kind of if she could get some training, I think, for her master's work that she was doing, and he kind of dealt with that. And so, but anyway, so that was day 2 and day 1, I guess, which was, day 2 was very fun. Day 1 was a little disheartening, but day 2 ended up being really great. So anyway, let's see, what was the last thing I had? Oh, the tour of my room, which is, like I mentioned before, a total pit. We're moving to a different house that's closer to NEERI tomorrow, so I'll clean this up. I would have unpacked everything and made things a little more homey, but I knew I would just be packing it all back up right away again. So here we go. Oh, one thing I was going to comment on before I take you on the tour. There's the Indian nod of affirmation, and Perry, if you watch this, you are very right. They do this all the time. But, when you're talking with someone, you might nod just to kind of say, yeah, I understand, yeah. Well, the Indian nod of affirmation is kind of the head back and forth like this. And so it's something that I'm kind of picking up on. I don't want to make it look as if I'm mocking anyone, but I mean, everyone does it. If you talk to someone and you say you're trying to communicate something to them, and they go, yeah, sure, yeah, and so they'll just kind of bobble their head back and forth. So if you ever see me do that, that's might be something that I've picked up, and that's a little different from what you're used to seeing. So here we go. We'll start right here, actually. So these are the switches for the lights, and then the fan. This is my adapter and the plug for my computer. Everything, all the walls are this color pink. It's weird. It's mind-blowing. But so I'm here in the corner of my room. I have a mirror here, and then here's my room. So this is going to be the best view of it. It's actually the biggest one in Jog House. I don't know how I got there with this gig, but so here's my bed. I think it's a queen size bed, which is really nice. It's a good size for me. So I use this near side where I've been sitting here as my sleeping side, and then that far side is if I'm dirty, I've been out in the field or something like that, then that's the side that I lay on to take a nap or something like that, so I can stay clean whenever I sleep at night, which is nice. I'll take you over. These pictures are on Facebook. I hope there's no one out here. That would be kind of awkward. Oh, it's really dark. You won't be able to see, but that's the view out my window. But I'll put some pictures on Facebook that you're able to see the view. So this is my suitcase explosion that I have going on right now. Plenty of clothes. Brought some snacks, some Gatorade tubs, to put in my water bottle. There's some silver canisters down there. I don't know what those are. They're locked up, so we do have cable, but only one English channel, I think, which kind of stinks. Nice table, nice little cabinet there. Clock on the wall. This is the AC unit up here. So this is basically the basic AC unit that most places in India have. So there's a little remote control for it. And then this is the voltage stabilizer? Yeah, voltage stabilizer. So when those two red lights are on, that means we're good to go. When they're not on, but there's lights on, that means you have lights and water. I think the water uses a pump, maybe. And so that's whenever we're able to, it's just the basic. So it's still humid. I'm not even sure the fans work, so it's really uncomfortable, but you have the basic stuff. You have lights and water. But when those are on, we have Wi-Fi, we have air conditioning, we have fans. It's beautiful. I do have two fridges. One is there and one's underneath there. So that's nice, but this one's unplugged. Here's the most interesting part. Well, first of all, here's this. These are the way the doors lock right here. So this is actually pretty standard through most of the buildings that we've seen. So here's the bathroom. This, personally, is the most interesting part to me. So once again, pink. And let's see if you can see. So the shower is just right there in the middle of the bathroom. So you just stand in the middle of the bathroom between the toilet and the sink and take your shower. So it's kind of interesting. There's a fan up there to keep the air circulating out, but this is the most humid room in my room out of the two, I guess. So anyway, there's toilet over there. I guess the bidet, it may be for washing, I think that's for washing your clothes. And then, yeah, the shower head there with a little spigot below for filling up a tub or something. But no washing machine. We wash in a bucket, which is down there. So, yeah, that's the bathroom. So it's a little bit different, a little strange, but still not really surprised. Anyway, I'd take you around and show you Joke House, but that would be a little awkward because there's workers around all the time, and they would, well, I guess you could kind of get a feel for how everyone stares at you, but they would find that very strange. So I won't really bother them. But anyway, so that's my room. We're moving tomorrow, so if the room that we go to is much different, then I will be sure to show that to you guys. Oh, there's a peacock on the wall. It's pretty special, I guess. So anyway, that's all I had written down for today to talk about. I went 35 minutes. That is ridiculous. So anyway, if there's anything that you guys want to know about, I mean, even specific questions is fine. I'll write them down and be sure to answer it in my next video. I'll probably do one maybe every 3, 4, 5 days, something like that, I would venture to say, unless there's something special that comes up. But anyway, I'm sure I will have this posted for you guys in the evening of what is today, the 22nd? 23rd. So the evening of the 23rd for you guys. And you guys can watch that and respond to it if you'd like. Love you guys. Sure do miss everyone from home. It's been only a few days, but Um, but I'm sure I'll get used to it and whatnot. So, namaste, and we'll see you next time.